this video, I'm going to go over the user interface of our presentation software, ProPresenter 7. There are other options available for presentation software, but we found ProPresenter 7 fits our needs the most. So I'm going to go through the screen that you see when you're operating the program and what all the different buttons do and where they take you. In later videos, we'll go through how to do some of the processes, but this one will specifically just sort of cover what all the different buttons do. So let's go check that out. This only works if we go to the computer like this way. So if we look at the screen now, we can see we've got a bunch of stuff going on. It looks a lot more confusing than it really is. So we'll dig into what each of these things leads to or does, and then go from there. So along the top, it's just like any other program. This is where we get to preferences for all the different settings, and the file import or new presentation stuff is all up here, and there's a bunch of these buttons just across the top, but these are also usually accessible in different ways. So across the top, we've got a bunch of these buttons that just take you to different places in the program or open different things. So first one here is search. So if I click this, it brings up the search menu. Another way to do this is on the keyboard. If you hit Control F or Command F if you're on a Mac, that'll bring up the search box. Then in the search box, you've got three options. If right now we've got this one, the blue one is highlighted, is the ProPresenter logo. So this is we're searching our own libraries. If you don't have a song, then the next one here is to search Song Select. If you have a Song Select account, you can log into that and link it to the program. And so now you can just search for a song, and it'll give you a bunch of results, usually pretty close. Then when you select it, you can hit import, and you can import that song. The last one here is multi-tracks. It's a very similar setup to Song Select, but it's for multitracks.com, which we don't have here, but that would be how you would upload or import the song from multi-tracks as opposed to Song Select. So once you've searched a song, you can just click and add playlist or drag and drop onto your presentation or your playlist. That's if it's in your library. If it's not in your library, it has to be imported first, and then you can move it into the playlist. So next we can change some text settings here, and you can use this to apply a theme to whatever you have selected. The next set of buttons here is what screen we're in. So right now we're in the show mode, which is the mode that you're going to be in when you're changing slides for presentations or through music. If you want to go in and edit a slide, you can select it and then hit edit up at the top, and whatever you have selected, whether it's live or if you select it separately, when you hit edit, it'll take you into this edit screen. And if you have multiple slides like you would in a song and you hit edit, they'll all be down the side here. You can change the shape of the text box and visibility. So this box will show up when it has text, or you can go into the text and actually switch the font, size, bold, positioning, all that sort of things, and you can add a bunch of other things as well. And then build is if you want to have like bullet points and they build on multiple clicks, that would be in there. The next one is reflow, and this just sort of adds into the side, and it shows you the slides of, in this case, the song, and what line they're on. So this is, you can see 2 lines, and it shows up as 2 lines on this box. But if I get rid of that, it now is 1 line, and then it'll go until it can't fit anymore, and then it'll move text down. So if I want to choose where that spacing is, I just do it there. If for some reason it can't fit, our text box are just set up for 2 lines, and there's now 4 lines. It gives you this warning that it can't fit. So we can insert a slide break and make a new slide that has those 2 lines. We'll get more into that stuff later. And then there's the Bible section. You can search for a particular verse, a whole section, and then it'll use whatever Bible version you have selected here, and the theme that you've made for Bible verses, and then it'll turn them all into slides, and then you can add them to your presentation or save them as a separate thing. Then there's a few extra ones that they don't have icons for, they're just here. Stage Editor allows you to adjust what the stage screen looks like. This is the screen for the people on stage to see, and what you can make this however you want, add in whatever information you want. Theme Editor, you can create themes for how you want your songs to look or lower thirds to look, and these themes would be applied to an import, and then this will be what it looks like. So we have a 2-line and a 4-line, and lower thirds here, and then here's our Bible verse theme. CCLI Editor, this will change the CCLI information that shows up and how it shows up. You can change what the text looks like there. Props, this is a overlay type thing. You can create whatever prop you want. We have a chapel will start countdown. So it's just a box with chapel will start in one text box, and then another text box has linked to the pre-show countdown, and then we can choose the format here. And then lastly, there's a mask editor. If you're getting into changing the shape of the output, you can mask out areas so that whatever is behind that won't project. And then if you're working on any of these, you just click back to show, and now we're back to the live section. Button up here is Pro Content. This is now this is where you'll find new motion backgrounds to download into our media playlist. The media button brings up the same box, but just jumps you down to our own. The media button brings up the media playlist, but it's the same media bin. Just jumps down to the stuff that's already installed on the computer. So if I go through these folders here, you can see we have different themes of motion backgrounds. Click on one of those, it'll start playing it. Press it again, gets rid of it. The audience and stage, this turns the display on and off. This only works for an HDMI output. We are running an SDI output on an SDI card, and so this does not actually affect whether the output is on or off. It will only work if it's coming out of the graphics card. This button over here is the look. Looks are a new thing to ProPresenter 7. It allows you to change what information goes where depending on what look you have active. So we have not music, which its main function, it turns off the lower thirds on our system. And if we go to music, it'll turn on lower thirds. So if I bring in some lyrics, we can see on the output, it's bringing in the lower thirds into our video system. And live, this is a capture setting. So this is a way if you want to capture the output of ProPresenter, you can either record it to disk, and this will just save it. So if you're live streaming through ProPresenter or running your cameras through ProPresenter, you can actually just save it to your hard drive. You can set up an RTMP stream and stream it to YouTube or Facebook or anywhere else. And then they have a specific encoder built in for Resi if you have their hardware, which we don't, or an account with them, which we don't. So that's just the buttons across the top. It's mainly used for editing and getting it set up. Once you're running, you just put it in the show mode, and then the rest of the settings will sort of get changed with macros and presets and stuff that we have already in here. So down the side, first thing here is we have library buttons. So all these are just a place where the presentations get stored. So when we import songs, they get saved to the songs library so that we can find them later. The Monday, Tuesday assembly presentations, where I work, this is Prairie College. We have Monday and Tuesday chapels in here that are very similar to like a church service, and then we also have assemblies on some Fridays. And so any of the particular presentations for those would be saved into these libraries. Any extra sort of event, we'll save them to the special presentations library. Prayer requests is generally for the Monday presentations. We have a prayer request section. And then scripture, if we save any of these Bible verses, we'll save them to the scripture library so we can get to it later. And then service elements is where I put all of my the reusable presentations, the ones that stay in the actual playlist, which is the next section. And so you can see here we have all of the stuff that's for Monday, and here's all the stuff for the Tuesday chapel, and then a couple of things that are just in everything. Countdown, music, first slide, that type of thing. Playlist, these are the actual playlists that we'll use on a given event. So if I click on Monday Chapel, click on the first slide, that brings you into our Monday Chapel setup. And in here, you've got these headers, which just help delineate where we are in the service, and then the presentations, which come from the various libraries. So this Monday pre-service slideshow is coming from the service elements, and it just has a bunch of generic slides to play before the service. So when we sit down when we get up and running before the actual chapel, we'll hit this slide and it'll start playing some music, bring up the prop for the countdown, and start going through this slideshow. With her mind fully set on the way that she's wanting to go, and go through all these different slides. So that's the Monday chapel. We have one for Tuesday and then one for assemblies, and then any special events, like we have a worship night coming up. I've got the songs already in place here, and any new ones will just sort of get added there, and that's done. You can add a new library, a new presentation, or you can add a new playlist or folder. So once you select anything up here, it shows up down here. Then the middle section here is where the slides actually are. So this one is a slide show, so it'll run on its own. So we just click the first one and it'll just keep going. The countdown one I have set up to run off of a calendar, so it'll just fire 2 minutes before the chapel starts. And then after that countdown ends, the first slide will also fire based off of a calendar event. And then if there's any announcements, they would go here and you'd move through them. Once you get to music, you just use the right arrow key or the space bar and move through the song. So all your slides will show up here. Along the bottom here, we've got transition controls, a way to add new slides. This changes what this looks like. So this is the normal easy grid view. If you're having a hard time with reading the text on here, you can actually switch to this easy view, and that'll get rid of all the background stuff. It's still there. If I click on this slide, you can see everything shows up how it was before, but on your personal view, it's just white text on a black background, which makes it easier to read. Table view allows for just some more information. This might be an easier way to go. Generally, we run in the grid view. There's also some options here. And then this slider here controls the size of those slides. So if you got really good eyes, you can really create a lot of space by zooming out. If you got bad vision, you can really zoom in, and it makes it a bit easier to see and read what's coming up next, but it takes up a lot more space. One more. Okay, and then finally on the right side of the screen, we've got a preview window. So if I bring up our song again, this is what's going to our main screen. But if I switch this, I can get a preview of our lower third. So this is being sent to our video system so we can overlay the lyrics. And then this is the back wall screen, so I can see what the band is seeing. And this will be for any screen that gets set up. On the side here, we've got a bunch of clear buttons. So we can clear individual layers. So if I clear the slide layer, it's going to get rid of this text. If I click that, it'll bring it back. If I click this clear media layer, it'll get rid of the motion background behind it, but leave the text. And then if any other layers are present, they'll light up red and you can clear them individually. And then finally, the big red button here just clears everything and gets you back to a black screen. There's also a clear to a logo button, which we have our logo loaded in, so the logo will load up here. If I go back to our slideshow and clear the music, we've got 3 options here, so we can see the presentation. So this will show us any sort of presentation information that's happening. So this play bar is for the video file that's playing right now. If we have anything playing on an announcement layer, which here we generally don't, that information will show here. And if we have music playing, music play bar will show up here. So this is just controls for this play bar here, which you can pause, resume, you can rewind. And then this here is just showing you the countdown till it advances the slide. Then finally, we've got a bunch of bins here. So the first one is our audio bin. You can set up playlists here under audio. So we've got our pre-service and the quiet instrumental, and then you can see underneath it changes what's available. So we've got 42 songs in our pre-service. These are all songs from our songwriting program. And these are some quiet instrumental music from the YouTube audio library so that we don't get hit with a copyright strike. Next to it, we've got stage controls. This allows us to just change what the rear stage screen is. So if it's not on the correct one, you can just actually jump right over here and change it to what you need it to be. Here's any timers that are running. We've got our segment countdown. So when I click on the music layer here, you can see it restarts because there's an action on here to start a 15-minute countdown timer. If I click on this GlobeTrek update, you can see it switches to 3 minutes. So those are all preset. You can go in and change them. And then we have a pre-show countdown. So this is countdown to time. So our chapel starts at 10 a.m. So we have this set to 10 a.m. So it'll just count down to 10 a.m. This is the messages box, which we generally don't use. This is where all your props will show up. So we have our countdown prop. I can just turn that on and off. And then lastly, we've got macros. So one of the features in ProPresenter 7 is you can add actions to slides. So this can, when I click the slide, several things will happen. You can see there's a little clock here. So there's a segment countdown. So if we go add action, timer, segment countdown, that's how that ends up there. Sometimes you want a whole bunch of things to go off at once. Like up here, you can see it's just this blue M. So we follow over here to macros. You can see I've got a pre-service macro. So it changes the audience look, the stage display, starts the pre-show countdown, adds the countdown prop, and starts a playlist, and switches our lighting computer over MIDI. So as soon as I click this, all of those actions are happening at once. And yeah, it's just a great way to get a bunch of control of different things all at once. So that does it for our overview of the UI or user interface in ProPresenter 7. If you found this useful, I've got several other videos on my channel, all relating to church tech type stuff. So if you want to check those out, that would be great. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope this was helpful for you.